The night was dark on the alien world, the air cold and heavy, and the ground covered in glowing blue moss that gave light like 1,000 tiny stars. Ethan opened his eyes slowly, his body aching from the crash, smoke still rising from his small ship that had broken into pieces in the forest. His head spun, and for a moment he thought he was alone, lost and broken. But then he felt something cold and trembling on his arm. He turned his head, and there she was, an alien woman kneeling beside him, her skin pale silver under the light of the moss, her eyes wide and glowing faintly with fear. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but filled with warning. "Stay away, human," she said. Her words told him to stay away, but her hands did not let go. Her fingers pressed tightly on his arm, as if she wanted to push him away but also hold him close. Ethan blinked, confused, his lips dry. I'm not here to hurt you," he whispered back. But Lyra, that was her name, did not answer. She only looked around nervously, her long hair falling over her shoulders as if she expected danger from every shadow. In the distance, a low sound echoed, the sound of horns and heavy steps. Lyra closed her eyes for a second, fear flashing across her face. "They are searching," she whispered. "If they find you, you will die, and I will die too." Still, she did not release him, her hand shaking but refusing to let go. Ethan tried to sit up, but pain shot through his ribs, and he fell back with a groan. Lyra pressed a finger to her lips, begging him to stay quiet, her eyes pleading more than her words. Ethan had never seen a creature like her, so human yet not. Her face beautiful but marked with strange lines glowing faintly under her skin, like rivers of light. She was unlike any life form he had studied in the stars, and yet her fear felt familiar, real, and heavy. "Why are you helping me?" Ethan asked softly. Lyra's hand trembled harder. "I am not helping you," she said quickly. I don't know why I cannot let go." The sound of soldiers grew louder, armored feet crushing the glowing moss, their voices sharp in a language Ethan did not understand. Lyra pulled him closer into the shadows of a twisted tree, pressing his body against the roots, her own body leaning in front of his to hide him. "Stay still," she breathed. "If they see you, they will kill us both." Ethan could feel her heartbeat racing, fast like a drum even though her words were calm. The patrol passed close, so close that Ethan could see the light of their weapons flashing in the dark. Lyra's hand gripped his chest, holding him down, her breath warm against his ear. One soldier stopped, turning his head. His glowing eyes scanning the trees, Ethan held his breath, his body frozen, his mind screaming. Lyra did not move, her hand on him firm like stone, refusing to betray fear. After long seconds, the soldiers moved on, their heavy steps fading into the distance. Only then did Lyra let out a slow breath. Her shoulders trembling, Ethan whispered again, "You could have let them take me, why didn't you?" Lyra's eyes met his, bright and sharp, but filled with something he could not understand. I should leave you here, but..." She looked at her hands, still clutching his arm, her voice breaking. My hands refused to let go. Silence hung between them, broken only by the distant calls of alien birds. Ethan felt something stir inside him, a strange mix of fear and hope. He did not know this woman, he did not know her people. But he knew one thing, she was risking her life for him, and she did not even know why. Lyra stood slowly, her body tense, her ears catching every sound. "You cannot stay here," she said. "They will search again, and when they do, they will find you." Ethan tried to rise, but his ribs screamed with pain. His legs weak, Lyra saw his struggle, her face twisting with conflict. "If I take you, I betray my people," she whispered. "If I leave you, I betray myself." For a moment, her hand reached toward him, then pulled back, then reached again. Finally, she gripped his arm once more, pulling him up with surprising strength. Her eyes burned with fear, but her voice was steady. "Come, human. We must move before it is too late." Ethan stumbled beside her, leaning on her for support. The strange, glowing forest, stretching out in every direction. Every step was dangerous, every breath filled with risk. But still she held him, refusing to let him fall, refusing to let him go, and in the darkness, Ethan realized the truth. Whatever fate had brought him here, whatever danger lay ahead, his life was now tied to hers. And Lyra, even as she whispered warnings for him to stay away, could not break the invisible chain that bound them together. The forest stretched far beyond Ethan's sight, glowing with strange plants and whispering winds, each tree taller than towers, each shadow carrying a secret. Lyra guided him through the darkness, her hand gripping his arm tightly, never letting go. her eyes scanning every direction. Ethan's breath was heavy, his ribs still aching, but he forced himself to move. For every step he slowed down, Lyra pulled harder, her voice a sharp whisper. Quiet, they listened to the ground. After hours of walking, they reached a cliff overlooking a vast valley. Ethan gasped at the sight. A city of alien lights burned in the distance. Towers made of crystal and metal rose from the ground like sharp fangs. Bridges of glowing energy stretched between them, and flying ships moved like fireflies in the night sky. It was beautiful, and yet Ethan could feel the weight of hatred rising from it like smoke. Lyra's face was hard, her voice colder now. This is Varith, my city, my people. They hate your kind. They will kill you if they see you. Ethan frowned, his voice weak but steady. Why? What did humans do to them? Lyra's eyes narrowed and her lips trembled, as if the memories hurt. Your kind came long ago, bringing war and fire. They burned our skies. They poisoned our rivers. They destroyed half our world and then they left, leaving us broken. Her voice cracked, and she turned away quickly, hiding her face. Ethan felt a knot tighten in his chest. That was not me, I wasn't there. But Lyra shook her head sharply. It does not matter, to them you are the same. One human is all humans, your blood carries their hate. They found shelter in a small cave hidden by vines. Lyra pushed Ethan inside, her movements sharp, her tone harsh. Stay here. Do not move. If they find you, they will kill me too. Ethan sat against the wall, the cave damp and cold, his heart heavy with guilt. He wanted to explain, to defend humanity, but how could he argue against scars carved into her world? For a long time, silence grew between them, broken only by the distant hum of alien ships. Finally, Lyra spoke again, her voice softer. I should not have helped you, I know this. Every step I take with you puts me closer to death. Ethan raised his head, meeting her glowing eyes in the dim light. Then why didn't you leave me? Her hands clenched into fists. Because when I saw you, I felt something I should not feel, mercy, pity, something that is forbidden in this world. And when you looked at me, I felt weak. She turned her face away, ashamed, her voice dropping. I do not understand myself. Ethan leaned forward, his voice gentle. Maybe you helped me because you know the truth. Maybe humans are not what they told you. Lyra's eyes flashed with anger. She grabbed his collar, pulling him close, her voice sharp as a blade. Do not speak such words if anyone hears them. I will die as a traitor. Her grip loosened after a moment and she let him go, her hands shaking. You cannot change their hate. It is older than me, older than you. It is carved into every child before they can walk. Suddenly, a sound echoed outside the cave. Heavy boots striking the ground, voices calling in sharp alien tones. Lyra froze, her eyes wide. She pressed a finger to her lips and pulled Ethan deeper into the shadows. The patrol passed close, torches of glowing blue fire lighting the walls. The soldiers spoke of a human, a monster fallen from the sky, and the reward for the one who brings his head. Ethan's chest tightened, hearing the venom in their voices. Lyra's hand gripped his tightly, her face pale with fear, her whisper trembling. Do you see, human, this is why you must stay hidden. This is the world that hates you. The soldiers moved on, their footsteps fading. Ethan let out a breath he did not realize he had been holding, his voice heavy. If they hate me so much, why don't you hand me over? It would save you. Lyra's face twisted, her eyes dark with conflict. Because when I hear them speak, when I see their hunger for blood, I remember the stories my mother told me in secret. Stories of humans who once saved lives, who once gave us fire and knowledge before the war, before the hate. Her voice dropped to almost nothing. I do not know which story is true, the monster or the savior. Ethan leaned back against the wall, his mind racing. He had never imagined being seen as a monster. He wanted to promise her that he was not like that humanity was not like that anymore. But the truth was, he did not know what had really happened here in the past. Maybe humanity had done those terrible things. Maybe the scars on her world were real. But one thing he knew for certain, he could not survive here without her, and she could not look at him without remembering both her hate and her mercy. The night grew colder, the stars above the cave shining through the cracks in the stone. Lyra sat at the entrance, her back straight, her weapon ready, her eyes scanning the valley below. Ethan watched her silently, the fire of suspicion and trust burning side by side between them, and deep in his chest a question grew heavy. Was he here to prove them wrong, or to prove them right? The cave was silent except for the steady sound of Ethan's breathing. His ribs still aching, but his mind sharper now. He watched the glow of the moss on the walls, faint light painting shadows that moved like ghosts. Lyra sat at the entrance, her spear resting against her shoulder. Her eyes sharp as she scanned the valley, every muscle tense, every movement careful. She was a guardian and a prisoner at the same time, bound by her own choice to keep him alive. Hours passed and the silence became heavy. Ethan shifted, his voice low. "I cannot hide forever. They will find me." Lyra did not turn her head, her voice calm but cold. "You will hide as long as I say. If you move without my word, you die, and if you die, I die." Her words carried no kindness, only truth. Yet the way her hand gripped her spear tighter betrayed something more, fear. When the night grew deep and the forest quieted, Lyra finally moved. She stood and gestured for Ethan to follow. "Come. There is something you must see." Ethan rose slowly, his body still weak, but curiosity pulled him to his feet. He followed her through narrow paths hidden by vines, their steps silent, their breath shallow. They walked until the forest opened into a wide clearing. In the middle stood ruins of stone and metal, half buried, half broken, glowing faintly with ancient light. Ethan stopped, his heart pounding. This is human design," he whispered, touching a piece of metal marked with symbols he knew. Lyra's face was pale, her voice sharp. "Do not speak too loudly, no one is allowed here. This place is forbidden." She led him deeper into the ruins where broken machines lay scattered, their shapes twisted, their cores silent. Ethan knelt beside one, brushing the dust away, his voice trembling. "These are not weapons, these are tools. Human tools for building, not destroying." Lyra looked at him, her eyes uncertain, her voice heavy. "Our leaders told us humans left only death behind, but here, I see things that do not match their words." Ethan turned to her, his eyes burning with urgency. "Do you see, Lyra? Maybe they lied. Maybe humans were not only destroyers. Maybe there is more to the story." Lyra's hands shook as she touched the broken stone, her mind torn. "If that is true, then everything we were taught is false, and if it is false, then why? Why do we still hate?" The shadows around them deepened. The ruins cold and quiet, but the air carried weight. Secrets hidden for centuries. Ethan felt a spark of hope. But before he could speak more, Lyra grabbed his arm tightly, pulling him into the shadows. Voices echoed through the clearing. Soldiers, their torches glowing blue, their armor shining in the dark. Lyra pressed Ethan against the wall of a broken structure. Her body close, her breath fast, her hand covering his mouth. The soldiers moved carefully, scanning the ruins. One of them spoke in harsh tones. "These places are cursed. Yet the elders send us here to make sure no human remains. No traitor hides." Another soldier laughed bitterly. "Only fools would come here. Only those who do not know the stories." They passed close, their lights flashing over the stones. Ethan's heart pounded, his body frozen. Lyra's hand stayed firm, her eyes locked on the patrol until they disappeared into the trees. When the danger passed, she let go, her face pale with fear. "Do you understand now? If they find you here, they will burn this place to the ground. They will erase everything. The truth will be lost forever." Ethan nodded, his voice steady. "Then we cannot let them find it. And we cannot let them keep lying." Lyra's eyes narrowed, conflict burning inside her. She wanted to believe. But the chains of her people's hate weighed heavy. She whispered almost to herself, "If my people knew I brought you here, they would kill me without mercy." Ethan stepped closer, his voice soft. "And yet you brought me. Why, Lyra? Why risk everything for me?" Her eyes met his, glowing faintly, her voice trembling. "Because when I see you, I do not see the monster from our stories. I see something else, something I cannot explain." The night wind howled through the ruins, carrying whispers of old memories. Ethan placed his hand on the cold stone, his voice firm. "This is not just about me. This is about your world, about mine. We must find the truth together." Lyra's jaw tightened, her hand gripping her spear, her eyes filled with fear and determination. "You do not understand. The truth is more dangerous than lies. The truth could destroy us both." From the shadows, a sound stirred, a twig snapped. Lyra spun around, spear raised, her eyes sharp. But the figure that emerged was not a soldier. It was a young alien boy, his eyes wide, his voice shaking. "Sister, what have you done?" Ethan's chest froze. Lyra's face turned white. The boy's voice cracked with betrayal. "You brought him here, you broke the law. You betrayed us." Lyra's breath caught. Her hands trembling, she whispered one word. "Run!" The boy's voice rose in panic, echoing through the ruins, calling for guards. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand, and together they fled into the shadows, the ruins vanishing behind them, the sound of horns and shouts filling the night. And as they ran, Ethan realized the truth was not just hidden. It was hunted, and Lyra, torn between her people and her heart, was now caught in a storm that neither of them could escape. The night was alive with the sound of horns, the deep notes rolling through the forest like thunder. Ethan's legs burned as he ran, every step heavy with pain, his breath ragged. But Lyra pulled him onward, her hand gripping his like iron. Refusing to let go, behind them voices shouted. Soldiers calling out, the glow of their torches flashing through the trees. The hunt had begun, but what burned more than the sound of the soldiers was the memory of the boy's voice. Lyra's younger brother, his cry of betrayal echoing in her mind. They stumbled into a hollow between twisted roots, Lyra pushing Ethan down into the shadows, her chest rising and falling fast. Her spear clutched tight in her hands. Ethan whispered, "That boy, he knew you, didn't he?" Lyra's eyes darkened, her jaw tight. "My brother, Cale. He has always believed the Elder's words. He thinks me weak. He will bring them all against us." Her voice cracked slightly, but she straightened, her eyes hard as stone. "I should have known he would follow. He never trusted me." Ethan leaned back against the roots, his ribs aching with each breath. "You risked everything to show me those ruins. Now he has turned you into a traitor." Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, her grip on her spear trembling. "He is not the enemy. He is only a child raised with hate, but now his hate will destroy us." Her voice lowered, almost breaking. "The enemy is not only outside. It is within my own blood." The sound of soldiers grew closer, Cale's young voice calling directions, his words sharp with anger. "This way, she is here. She hides the human." Lyra's eyes filled with pain, but she whispered, "We must move again. They will search everywhere." Ethan nodded, but his body felt heavier with every step. Still he rose, still he followed, because her hand refused to leave his. They moved through the forest until they reached a river glowing with silver light, the water humming with strange energy. Lyra stopped, scanning the other side. "The current is strong, but it will hide our trail." "We must cross." Ethan stared at the rushing water, his chest tightening. "With these injuries, I might not make it." Lyra turned sharply, her eyes fierce. "You will make it, because I will not let you drown." Without waiting, she pulled him into the water, the cold striking his skin like knives. The current dragging them, Ethan struggled, coughing, the river pulling him under. But Lyra's arm wrapped around him. Strong despite her slim frame, she dragged him up, her voice harsh. "Breathe, human. Do not give up." Together they fought the current, crashing against rocks swallowed by the rushing waves, until finally they reached the other side. Gasping for air, collapsing onto the glowing shore, Ethan lay there exhausted, but Lyra did not rest, her eyes scanning the forest again, her body trembling but her grip on her spear unbroken. She turned to him, her voice quiet but urgent. "Cale will not stop. He knows my heart. He knows I cannot kill him. And he will use that against me." Ethan frowned, forcing himself to sit up. "Then let me face him. He hates me, not you." "Maybe I can stop him." Lyra's face twisted, her voice sharp. "No, if you face him, he will kill you, and I cannot let that happen." For a moment her voice shook, but then she steadied herself, her eyes hard once more. "I will deal with my brother. You must survive." No matter what, the night pressed down heavier, the forest alive with echoes, every sound a threat. They found shelter beneath an arch of stone, the shadows deep enough to hide them, and there Ethan spoke softly. "Lyra, why do you keep fighting for me? Why not leave me? Your own brother hunts you now." Her eyes met his, glowing faintly in the dark, her voice trembling. "Because something inside me refuses to let you die." I whispered to myself, "Stay away, human," but my hands do not obey. My heart does not obey. Her words struck him deep, filling his chest with both hope and fear. Before he could speak, a rustle came from the trees, and Cale stepped into the clearing, his young face hard with anger. Soldiers behind him, their weapons glowing. Lyra's body froze, her spear trembling. Her eyes locked on her brother. Cale's voice rang out, sharp and accusing. "Sister, you shame our blood, you protect the monster. You betray us all?" Lyra stepped forward, her voice breaking but strong. "Cale, listen to me. He is not what they told us. I saw the ruins, I saw the truth." But Cale's eyes burned with hate. "The only truth is that humans bring death, the elders told us. and I will prove loyal while you die a traitor." He raised his weapon, the soldiers behind him moving closer, their torches blazing. Ethan tensed, ready to fight though he knew he was weak. Lyra's hand shot out, holding him back, her voice firm. "No, this is my fight." Her spear gleamed in the torchlight as she raised it, her voice trembling. "Kyle, I do not want to fight you, but I will not let you harm him." The forest grew silent, the air heavy with tension, brother and sister facing each other, bound by blood but divided by truth. Ethan's heart pounded. He knew this moment would decide everything. Not just their lives, but whether mercy or hate would rule this world. And as the shadows deepened, the battle within Lyra's heart burned brighter. The enemy was no longer far away. The enemy was within. The forest burned with silence, heavy and sharp as Lyra faced her brother, her spear shaking in her grip, her eyes locked on Kyle. Behind him stood the soldiers, their weapons glowing, their faces hard and cruel, every one of them ready to strike. Ethan stayed in the shadows, his body weak but his heart beating fast. He wanted to stand beside her, but Lyra's hand had held him back, her voice firm. "No, this is my fight." Kyle's young face was twisted with anger, his voice loud and sharp. "You protect a monster. Sister, you break the law, you shame our family. The elders will curse your name." Lyra's voice trembled but rose strong. "Kyle, you do not understand. The stories are broken. The ruins speak the truth. Humans were not only destroyers." Kyle spat on the ground, his voice like fire. "Lies. I will not hear your poison if you stand with him. You stand against us." The soldiers raised their weapons. The blue light flickering across the trees, Ethan's chest tightened. He could not watch her stand alone. He pushed himself forward, stumbling into the light, his voice rough. "If you hate me, take me, but let her go. She is only guilty of mercy." Lyra turned sharply, her eyes burning. "Ethan, no, do not." But Kyle's laughter cut her off, sharp and bitter. "See, he tries to trick us, he pretends to care. But he is the same as all humans, weakness hides the knife." The soldiers moved closer, the air thick with danger. Lyra stepped in front of Ethan, her spear raised, her voice breaking. "Stay away from him if you harm him. You will have to strike me first." Kyle's eyes widened, pain flashing across his face. "Sister, why do you betray your own blood for his?" Her voice cracked, her hands trembling. "Because when I look at him, I do not see the monster, I see something different, something worth saving." Kyle's face twisted with rage, but deep inside his eyes flickered with doubt still. The soldiers pressed forward, loyal to the law, not to doubt. Their weapons shining brighter, Ethan whispered, "Lyra, if you fight them, they will kill you." "I cannot let you do this." But Lyra's voice was steady, strong despite her tears. "I would rather die with truth than live with lies." The first soldier lunged, his blade flashing. Lyra spun, her spear clashing against the strike. Sparks flew in the dark, her movement swift, fierce. Every strike a dance of survival. Ethan watched, helpless, his body too weak to fight, his heart tearing as she risked everything. Kyle shouted commands, his voice echoing. "Hold her down." "Take the human alive," Lyra struck back, her spear cutting through the air, forcing them to step back. But they were many, and she was only one. A soldier grabbed her arm, another swung low, and Ethan's heart screamed. Without thinking, he stumbled forward, grabbing a fallen branch, swinging with all the strength his broken body held. The strike clashed against a soldier's helmet, sending him staggering. The others turned on him instantly, their weapons raised. Lyra's cry split the night. She threw herself between them, her spear flashing, her body blocking Ethan from every strike. Her brother's voice cracked, filled with both anger and sorrow. "Lyra, stop, they will kill you. Why throw your life away for him?" Her answer came with tears in her eyes, her voice breaking. "Because if I let them kill him, I will lose myself. And I cannot live with that." The battle paused, her words hanging heavy in the air. Kyle's soldiers hesitated, their eyes flickering with uncertainty. No one expected her to defy the law so openly. No one expected her to protect a human with her life. Kyle's jaw clenched, his voice lower now. "Sister, you speak madness. Humans destroyed us. They cannot be saved." But Lyra's voice rose stronger, louder. "And yet here he stands, bleeding, broken, and still he tries to save me. Is that the monster you were taught to fear?" The soldiers shifted, their grips less certain, doubt creeping into their faces. Kyle's face hardened, but Ethan could see his hands trembling, torn between hate and the bond of blood. Finally, he raised his weapon high, his voice breaking. "If you will not step aside, Then you are no longer my sister, the words cut deep. And Lyra's face paled, but she did not move, her spear firm. Her voice steady. Then so be it, but I will not let go of him. The forest seemed to hold its breath, the river nearby whispering softly, as if the world itself waited for the next strike. Ethan's mind raced, fear crushing his chest, but also something brighter, something stronger. He placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder, his voice calm though his heart thundered. You should stay away, Lyra, you whisper it. But your hands refuse, and maybe mine refuse too. Her eyes widened, and for a moment, the fear inside her turned into something else. Hope. The standoff burned, Kale's eyes shining with anger and pain, the soldiers unsure, the forest silent. Between mercy and fear, the balance hung fragile, ready to break with a single choice. And Ethan knew whatever happened next would decide not just their lives, but the fate of a world built on hate and lies. The forest was frozen in silence, Kale's weapon raised. Lyra's spear pointed at her own blood, Ethan standing weak but unyielding behind her. The soldiers shifting with unease, none daring to strike first. The air was thick with fear and doubt, every breath heavy, every heartbeat loud. Kale's voice cracked through the silence, sharp and desperate. Sister, move aside, last chance. Or I will end this myself. Lyra's grip tightened on her spear, her eyes glistening, her voice steady. If you strike him, you must strike me too. The soldiers looked at one another, confusion spreading like fire. Some lowered their weapons slightly, their faces uncertain. Ethan stepped forward, ignoring the pain in his ribs, his voice calm though his chest trembled. You believe I am your enemy, but you do not know the truth. My ship carried data, records of the war. I saw fragments before the crash. The war was not only humans against your kind. Someone else was pulling the strings. Kale's eyes narrowed, his voice harsh. Lies, more tricks. Humans always twist words, but doubt flickered in the soldiers' eyes. The seed planted in their silence, Lyra's voice rose fierce. I saw the ruins with my own eyes. Kale, machines built for life, not for death. Tools for building, not for war. The elders kept this hidden. They feared the truth. Kale's face twisted with anger, but his hands shook, his loyalty battling with the blood he shared. Ethan pressed on, his voice strong despite the pain. The real enemy wanted us to hate each other, to fight until both sides were broken. The war was not only ours, it was designed, manipulated, controlled. The soldiers muttered among themselves, unease spreading. One of them whispered, if he speaks true, then everything we were taught, everything we fought for. Kale's eyes burned with fury. Silence, do not listen, he poisons you. Just as he poisoned her. But Lyra stepped closer, her spear steady, her voice breaking yet strong. No, Kale, it is not poison, it is truth. You feel it, I know you do. The hate in your heart is heavy because it was planted there. It was never yours to carry. Kale's jaw clenched, his voice low, almost trembling. And if I accept this, what then? What is left for us but shame? Lyra lowered her spear slightly, tears shining in her eyes. Not shame, Kale, choice. We can choose mercy. We can choose to see beyond the lies. Ethan placed a hand over his chest, his voice soft. I came here by accident, but maybe fate brought me not to fight, but to show you what your leaders hide. I am not your enemy. I am a man who fell from the sky, broken and alone. Yet your sister saved me when she had every reason to leave me. Ask yourself why. The silence grew heavy. Kale's soldiers shifting nervously, their loyalty shaken. One soldier lowered his weapon fully, his voice uncertain. If the elders lied, then we are fighting shadows. Another shook his head. But if the elders hear of this, they will kill us all. Kale's face twisted with rage, his pride burning, his loyalty tearing him apart. He screamed, Enough, I will end this now. He charged forward, weapon raised high, but Lyra blocked him, her spear clashing against his blade. The sound rang through the forest like thunder. Brother and sister fought, sparks flying, each strike heavy with pain and love. Ethan watching helplessly, torn between stopping them and knowing he could not. Lyra's voice cried out with every strike, Kale, stop. I do not want to fight you. Kale's voice was broken. Then why do you fight me? Why do you protect him? Their weapons clashed again, until finally Lyra's spear knocked Kale's weapon aside, her blade at his throat, her hands trembling. Tears fell down her cheeks, her voice shaking. I cannot kill you, Kale. I will never kill you because you are my brother, but I also will not let you kill him. And if you try again, I will stand in your way. Every time, the soldiers froze, waiting. Cale's chest heaved, his eyes wet with rage and confusion. Finally, his weapon fell from his hand, clattering to the ground, his voice raw. "You have chosen him over us. You are no longer my sister." He turned, walking into the shadows. The soldiers following slowly, torn and uneasy, some glancing back with doubt heavy in their eyes. The silence after was crushing. Lyra sank to her knees, her spear falling, her body trembling from both the fight and the choice she had made. Ethan knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. His voice soft. "You saved me again, even when it cost you everything." Lyra shook her head, tears falling. "No, Ethan, I did not save you. I chose you, and that choice has broken my blood, my people, my home." Ethan's voice was gentle but firm. "Sometimes the hardest choice is the one that changes the world. Maybe this is the beginning, not the end." Lyra looked at him, her eyes shining with sorrow and hope, her whisper trembling. "Stay away, human, I beg you." But my hands refused to let go. The forest seemed to sigh around them, as if the world itself had felt the weight of her choice. The horns were silent now, the soldiers gone. But the danger was not over. The war of lies and truth had only just begun. And as Ethan looked into Lyra's eyes, he knew the next steps would decide not only their survival, but the future of two worlds bound by hate and now bound by mercy. The night had grown quiet after Cale and the soldiers vanished into the trees. But silence did not mean safety. It meant only that the storm was waiting. Lyra sat on the ground, her spear beside her. Her eyes empty with sorrow. Ethan sat close, his ribs aching but his heart heavier than his wounds. He wanted to speak, but words felt small, weak, like paper against fire. Finally, Lyra broke the silence, her whisper trembling. "I have lost everything, my brother, my people, my name. I am nothing now." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice soft. "You are not nothing, Lyra. You are the reason I'm alive. You are the reason truth still breathes." She turned her face toward him, her glowing eyes filled with both pain and fire. "Truth alone will not save us. Ethan, the elders will hunt me, the soldiers will return. Cale will not stop until I am dead." Ethan took a deep breath, steadying himself. "Then we must not hide anymore. If we run, the lies will remain. But if we show them the truth, if we bring it to light, maybe they will see." Lyra shook her head, fear pressing on her voice. "They will not listen. They will kill us first." But Ethan's voice grew stronger, his eyes fierce. "Then let them try, because the truth is stronger than their lies, stronger than their fear." She stared at him, torn between despair and hope, her whisper weak. "You are only one man. How can you change a world?" Ethan gave a small smile, tired but certain. "I am not alone. I have you." Her chest tightened at his words, her hands trembling. Once more she whispered, "Stay away, human. Please." But again her hands refused to let go. The next day they moved through the forest, heading not away from the city but toward it, toward Vayrith, where the crystal towers rose and the elders ruled. Every step was dangerous. Patrols searched the land. Horns called in the distance, but Lyra guided him with skill. Moving through shadows and rivers, at last, they stood at the edge of the valley, the great city glowing with light, its bridges like veins of fire in the sky, its towers like blades piercing the clouds. Ethan's breath caught. "If we enter, there is no turning back." Lyra's voice was low but steady. "Then we do not turn back." They walked into the heart of the city, slipping through crowded streets. The people stared at Ethan, whispers rising like sparks. Some faces twisted with fear, others with anger, some only with shock. Lyra held her spear high, her voice ringing out, "Take me to the elders. I have words they must hear." Guards rushed forward, but the crowd grew restless. Voices calling, "It is her, the traitor." And the human, the guards hesitated, torn between fear of the human and confusion at Lyra's boldness. At last the elders themselves appeared, tall figures robed in silver and blue, their eyes glowing with authority. Their voices thundered across the plaza. "Lyra of Vayrith, you stand accused of treason. You bring the human into our sacred city. Explain yourself before we end you both." Lyra stepped forward, her voice shaking at first but growing strong. "You told us humans were only monsters, that they destroyed our world, that they left us broken, but I have seen the ruins. I have seen the tools they left, tools for building, for life. Not for war," the crowd gasped. The elders' faces hardened, their voices sharp. "Lies. You bring poison into our city." But Ethan stepped forward, his chest heavy, his voice loud. No, it is truth. My ship carried records. Proof that the war was not only between us. Another force manipulated both sides, feeding hate, feeding death, so you would never see the enemy hiding in the shadows. The people murmured, doubt spreading like cracks in glass. One elder raised his hand, his voice heavy with anger. Silence, human. You have no voice here. But Lyra raised her spear high, her voice ringing out. Then I will be his voice. I, Lyra, who fought beside you, who bled for you, I say this: if you kill him, you kill the truth, and if you kill me, you kill your future. The plaza shook with shouts, half in anger, half in fear, half in doubt. Kale appeared then, his face pale, his eyes torn. He pushed through the crowd, his voice breaking. She is my sister. She betrayed us, but she also saved me once, and I cannot deny I saw doubt in the ruins myself. The elders turned on him, their voices sharp. Kale, do not be weak. Stand firm. But Kale's voice cracked, trembling with conflict. I do not know what to believe anymore. Ethan stepped closer, his voice calm but strong. Believe not me, not her, but your own eyes. Go to the ruins, see the truth for yourselves. If I am lying, kill me, but if I speak true, then stop the war before it swallows us all. The crowd fell silent. The words heavy as stone, the elders whispered among themselves. Fear in their eyes, not of Ethan, but of the truth being loosed. Finally, one elder raised his hand. Take them away, lock them. Until we decide. Guards moved, the crowd stirred. But something strange happened. A group of soldiers stepped back, refusing to obey, their faces filled with doubt. Another guard dropped his weapon, voices rising. If he speaks truth, we must know. If she speaks truth, we cannot kill them. The crowd split, anger and mercy clashing in the open, the city trembling with the weight of choice. Lyra turned to Ethan, her hand gripping his tightly, her whisper trembling. Whatever happens, I will not let go. Ethan looked into her glowing eyes, his own voice firm. And neither will I. The city roared around them, fear and hope colliding, a storm of voices and fire. But in the center of it all stood a human and an alien, bound not by hate but by mercy. And as Lyra's words echoed one last time, stay away, human, while her hands refused to release him, the world knew that mercy had begun to break the chains of fear.